life has redirected itself in ways that I could not even imagine from that, let's call it a near-death experience, spiritual awakening experience, and thank God it happened.
Are you curious about discovering ways of making your life better? Then welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Nickman, and this is The Exploding Human. Listen in while I talk with all kinds of people in the fields of personal growth, health and healing, alternative therapies, psychology, spirituality, environment, and the future. I'm looking for those answers that make life better for everyone. You'll meet cutting-edge practitioners, doctors, artists, filmmakers, business people, and those who have overcome challenges. The brave, the curious, anyone who is out there helping us humans to explore, expand, and explode. Hey, welcome to The Exploding Human. My name is Bob Nickman. My guest today is Stepen Chong, and we're going to be talking about his near-death experience and the book he wrote about it, The Afterlife, A Journey to. Now you know what will happen. But first, I'd like to invite you to visit my website, theexplodinghuman.com. Over there you can listen to episodes, read synopses, see photos of my guests, read a little bio on myself. There's also a YouTube channel where you can listen. That is The Exploding Human with Bob Nickman. As I said, my guest today is Stepen Chong. Stepen had a near-death experience. He fell off a ladder, and he said he was very lucky that somebody was there, his wife, to come to his assistance. But he did have this near-death experience, and over the subsequent months, he was getting messages to write a book about that experience and what happened to him. The way he describes it is really pretty fascinating. Stepen is a very regular guy. There's nothing extraordinarily woo-woo or fantastical about Stepen other than this experience that he had. And we talk about what some of the imagery is, some of the things that happened, the rules of heaven, which I was very fascinated with, that he was able to articulate. He even talks a little bit about purgatory and things that we may believe through our religious teachings, and how he interpreted it after this near-death experience. So I'm going to let Stepen tell you all about what happened and how he came to write this book and how his life changed in an extraordinary way after this experience. So here he is. This is Stepen Chong. Stepen Chong is in Melbourne, Australia, visiting relatives. And what time is it there? I didn't even ask you that.
It's a very civilized 9 o'clock in the morning, Bob.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Good day, as they say over there in Melbourne.
I hope your listeners have or do not have trouble with my Aussie accent.
You have an interesting combination of accents mixed together. I can detect like two or three things, very slight though. What is your primary accent?
English is primary. I mean, I was a Francophile back 30 years ago, but that's in a different lifetime.
Yeah.
So there's probably remnants of some sort of second language.
Then, and then you have parents and relatives and just places you live. It's I love hearing different accents and from people different, even parts of, like, you just pick a state, any state in the United States, and there's 10 accents within that state.
Yes. Yeah, similar here in Australia.
Yeah. So it's, and I just love it. I just love I love how Earth is becoming one big family.
Well,
dysfunctional, yes, but a family nonetheless.
Absolutely. Well, here are you and I separated by many miles of sea, and it's all a good thing.
My favorite part of the internet, and I love that I get to talk to people from all over the world that speak. At least if they speak English, I can talk to them. If they don't, then I'm kind of screwed.
There's trouble. Yeah.
But so far, I've gone a lot of UK guests, and I've had a couple from Australia. I've had Singapore and different places. I love it, and fortunately, a lot of people do speak English all over the world. Netherlands, I've had people, and I only really speak one language, which is English, but I do dabble in a few others, but very poorly. And so I appreciate English.
Very good.
Yes. So we're going to talk about death and near death. And I know that you had a near death experience and you wrote a book about it, which we're going to be talking about. But here's what I wanted to ask you for. Oh, here's the thing. I wanted to repeat what I said because it made you laugh, and maybe it'll make you laugh a second time. That people look at death as this bad thing that happens at the end, right? So, and my point was, it's neither bad nor the end. So we don't have to worry about any of that stuff. We can just talk about it, and it's nothing to be afraid of.
Yes, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
And your experience, I'm sure, was enlightening in that respect. I want to know who you were exactly before you had this near-death experience, and then, you can talk about the experience, when you fell and, you almost died. And then how, how it changed. But were you a spiritual person, a religious person, a agnostic, somebody who didn't even look at death? It was just something annoying that that happened where the body goes to a funeral home and everybody cries for a couple of days and then goes out and makes money. What?
Yeah. I guess, Bob, I've never been a religious man, not far from it. I'm lucky enough to be involved in a very spiritual family, to be sure, and a mother who was an angelic being. So I was well served in guidance through a lifetime up to now, on the wrong side of 65. But yeah,
me too, my friend.
Here we are. We're in good shape.
Yeah.
But yes, I must tell you the experience, because as you mentioned, it's 3.5, 4 years ago now. As you do when you're 60, you get up on the roof and you clean out the gutters, and the ladder slipped, and I've fallen 5 meters onto the ground, and thankfully where we live, we're very remote, so there's no near neighbours anywhere, and this particular morning, Saturday morning, my wife just happened to be there, and thank God she was, because I'd still be lying on the ground. So she was able to rescue me. But at that time, I couldn't feel anything from like neck down. I thought, oh, Stepen, you are in trouble. But here we stand, and the gods have shown favour, and life has redirected itself in ways that I could not even imagine from that, let's call it a near-death experience, spiritual awakening experience, and thank God it happened. Because the things I've learned subsequently from that experience and the writing of the book have been so profound that have changed my life totally.
I've met a few people over the years who have had these experiences, or even said that they had died temporarily and became a different person. Even their physical being changed once they
Yes, it's interesting, Bob, and I've been asked a number of times, because for me, at the time of the experience, wasn't like, I guess if there's a traditional near-death experience, I didn't have it. I didn't float off to the heavens at that time. It was subsequent when I'm and I'm good for nothing. I'm on a couch rehabilitating for months on end. But during that time, I had, it's like that little voice in your head saying, Stepen, and I had the title of this book pounding away in my head. I thought, oh, no, leave me alone, because I've written a few books and, all that sort of thing. But I'd shut down. I said, no, I was done. I'm ready to plant tomatoes in the garden. But the experience gave me the choice. So I've said to universe, okay, all right, enough. I'll write this thing, whatever it is you want me to write. And I say, I had the title, the Afterlife, A Journey To, in my head. But I've said to the universe, what do I know? If you want me to write this thing, you have to show me. I know nothing. But the choice I made was to say, okay, I'm open. You show me the way. So there was no character, no storyboard. I had nothing. But as soon as I'd made that choice and then sat down to write, it was like opening a portal, and I saw the images and I heard the music and the colours, and I'm seeing heaven through this character's eyes, and it was like taking dictation, and I was sort of. Not sort of, it's like being on a scenic railway tour, being taken through these different levels of heaven. So I'm just describing what I'm seeing. A gift, absolutely. An amazing journey, to be sure.
That's the interesting, I mean, the whole thing's interesting, but after the incident, like weeks later, something opened up inside you that allowed this thing to happen. Was there was there a voice that you heard when you said music? You were hearing certain sounds. We always think of heaven as like angels playing the harp, which I don't know. They might be playing the saxophone. I don't know.
Yeah. That's pretty much describes it, Bob. But the key for me was a burden of choice. I could have said no. See you later. Yeah. I'm done. I'm okay. I'll recover and I'll go and plant tomatoes. But no. So once I've chosen that pathway, then the doorway opened. Then the gifts were revealed. Absolutely.
I know there's people that are, they call them channelers, and they channel these beings, these voices, and it's pretty amazing stuff when you hear some of these folks talk, whether you believe it or not. It's amazing either way, whether it's, I don't know what it is. It's and sometimes they refer to themselves as we, even like all the spirits sort of mixed together, which I find really interesting. Was it like that in a sense, but just for you? Like what was happening to your body? Did you feel something in your body? Was there a force going on? Was there a light? I mean, what visually, auditorily, and what did you feel when this is happening?
Oh, it's a very interesting question. And people have asked me, did you channel? Are you a medium? And the answer is, I'm not at all comfortable with that. I'm just a regular dude paying his way. But the best I can describe it is like tuning a radio dial, like to a certain frequency. So what I would do is, when I write stuff, I'm very disciplined. So I would sit in the morning at a particular time and say, you've got to the universe, like you've got 2 hours. And then I've got to do stuff. and every time, but trust. So every time I sat, I knew that they would be there. I knew, because I had no idea where the story was going. I had no idea what was coming next. But I trusted implicitly that whatever was coming would be there. And without fail, every time I sat, and just tuned in, no distractions. You turn off all things that beep and buzz at you. So I'm really tuned in, focused. And every time I sat, got that. And started to write what I saw when I saw the colours and heard the music, and the dialogue was just there. I heard it. So I dictated and tried to describe best, as I say, what I saw. An amazing journey. And the whole thing I've got to tell you, 4 weeks to write, which is almost unprecedented.
Yeah, it sure is. As somebody who's, I've been a writer for a living for a long time, and I'm fascinated by when things come through me and I write them, but then you go in and out of, you have the mechanics of, the typing and getting it on the page and looking at the words, which somewhat disconnects you from the thing you're in, but you're in it at this. And this is even more intense than just, me writing characters in a drama or a comedy or whatever. that to me, I can sort of separate it and kind of go flip back and forth. But this seems like when you say it's dictation, how do you mechanically type the dictation? And
Oh, yeah.
I mean, can you type without having to look at the page? Because I can't. I have to look at
No,
the
no,
word.
I've got two fingers that have worn down
Oh,
to
okay,
the
you're
quick.
similar to me. I can do a
Yeah,
little.
no, I'm
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've got to tell you something, Bob, which is really, really quite amazing, because what happened after I'd finished writing the book, and you would know, and then you start to edit and review and all that nice stuff. It was about, I don't know, 2 or 3 months after I'd finished the book and read it 100 times. It was, the voices in my head are going, Stepen, you've missed something. What? Read it again. Read it again. So I did. And what I found embedded in throughout the text were these laws of, and I called them the laws of heaven and earth, isms, tenets that, and I found 15 of them. There might be more in there that I don't know about, but I found 15, and I've written them down. And I'm like, far out. That is amazing. And they're laws that relate back to how we live and make life a better place, and also give us an understanding of what happens in the heavenly realms. But I didn't, through the writing process, I didn't pick that up until, as I say, 2 or 3 months later.
Yeah, I was looking through some of the laws and some of the, I got a bunch of material on the book, and it's pretty fascinating stuff. A lot of it sort of lines up with, the historical kinds of reports of what heaven is, even a little bit of stuff about hell and purgatory and all these.
Yeah.
But it was pretty fascinating when you think about, what can we learn about how to live from somebody who talks about heaven in a way that is maybe not exactly what a conventional idea is. Most people think about it as, everything's fantastic all the time and food is delicious and everybody gets along and it's just this amazing place. Yeah. And, but if we're here to learn and to connect and grow with the universe, how does this experience of seeing and being a part of heaven translate to, well, for yourself and for other people, the message that you would want to give to people based on what happened?
Yeah, that's very interesting, Bob. And I've got to tell you, and I mentioned before we come on air, that within the past 2 months, I've lost both my beautiful mother and my lovely uncle. And I've got to tell you, over the years prior, when my mother left, I thought I'd be pretty messy, because we were, pretty tight. Subsequent to writing the book and the knowledge I've learned from the writing of the book, and now the direct experience of losing a treasured loved one, it's just transformed that let's call it grief. I mean, in my case now, when you feel grief for the loss of a beautiful loved one, but it's not a debilitating grief. It's an empowering grief. It says, Stepen, I'm here. I'm in this. I know where she's gone. I know exactly where she's gone. I know where to find her in the heart through that the love connection, and I know she's there all the time. So, and it's like, Stepen, she's saying, Stepen, get on with. You've got things to do. You've got a purpose to fulfill, and you're old, so get on with it. So the knowledge and now the experience becomes a crucible mix of how to live life to a higher level.
I always like that line, enjoy every sandwich. It's like it's a very simple way to say live in the moment and enjoy what you have, because you don't know how long it's going to last, and it's every second is temporary in that way.
Yes.
So, I've wasted a lot of time being unhappy over things that I couldn't change, or a misperception of what life is about.
Yes.
There's a lot of I think a lot of certainly youth and discovering, as you discover who you are and who you want to be, there's a lot of turmoil in that. I don't see anything wrong with it. It was very helpful to me. But when I was going through some of those really difficult times, I couldn't stand it. I was just like, this is horrible. This is life is sad and pointless, and I don't feel that way now, but at the time it was as real as it could have been.
And it's interesting, Bobo, these NDEs, or spiritual awakening experiences, if whatever we want to call them, what my understanding is that two things, is that they're given to us to redirect us. So it says, pardon me, Stepen, you are on the wrong pathway. You have got a divine purpose to fulfill. Choose it if you will. Stay where you are. If you choose, that's okay. We'll still love you. But this experience has caused, like, say, that redirection to this whatever purpose you have. And the second point is that it imbues you with like these, let's call it superpowers. We'll give you the wherewithal, the knowledge, the experience. They'll give you the words to write a book that you never knew you had. So they're the two things to me that define that NDE, or spiritually awakening experience.
What did your wife think of all this? How does it change the communication, or maybe it hasn't, but how did that, because obviously she's the person closest to you, so she got to be a part of it in a very deep way, I would imagine. How did that affect her? Has anybody ever asked you that?
Oh, well, no, I've got to tell you, but I was sitting with, and she's sitting just across the way from me now, so she can hear me. So I've got to get this right.
Oh, tell me about it.
Otherwise, I'm in trouble.
We all. That's how you know you're in love with somebody. Afraid of them. I'm saying it in a nice way. You want to make sure it's right.
I need all the help I can get. But and with the loss of my mother recently, what it highlighted in the family is what I call fault lines. So if there were any disagreements, any troubles, they get exemplified. They get highlighted. But and I've said to my dear wife a couple of times, subsequent to losing our mother, my love for her, my love for my wife has just grown exponentially by virtue of the experience. It was quite difficult. My mother was palliative for 3 months, so we had some difficult things to do. Yeah. But that experience highlighted the love that we have for one another. And again, hey, if that doesn't make life a better place, I don't know what does.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's an interesting thing that experience brought you to another level of depth with with your wife. I think that's really wonderful.
Yeah, truth to that.
Yeah, it's a great thing. And so what is, I don't know how to see if I can word this. Your life purpose, has it changed, and what is it now?
That's a very interesting question. Well, I've been given a gift. The words and the stories in the book are a gift from a source that I know is working to our favour. And my job now is I'm a messenger boy. Whether I'm not asking people to believe or accept or anything. I said I've received a gift, and I put it out there for people to read and see and use it as they will. And if a person can read the book and it changes their life to the significant, well, hey, hallelujah. If it changes it makes their life a better place in some small, insignificant way, my job's done. the messenger boy's done his thing. So again, I'm not trying to convert or change or none of that. No, not even close to that. Well, I've received a gift. My job is to present it to those that have ears to hear and read the words and make life a better place for themselves.
When I think about the various cultures around the planet, and I only have lived in the United States, but there's a lot of fear around death. There's just a lot of fear about it. One that it's gonna hurt. It's gonna
yeah.
And then this idea of I didn't get to do what I really wanted to do. I've thought about my own death for a long time, not in a morbid way, but I've thought about it's been an incredible inspiration to me to take chances, not risky things like that are going to kill me, but chances with going for certain dreams that a lot of people maybe wouldn't do because it's a little bit riskier and scarier and less secure and obvious, but I remember thinking a couple of times in my life, like, I better do this now because I don't want to be laying there on my deathbed wondering if I could have done it. I'd rather try it and fail and screw it up.
Absolutely.
And lead to something else. There's an idea that I think a lot of people have that there's some sort of a finality to every decision that you make. And I think it's the exact opposite. I think they're all just little pieces of the puzzle as you move along.
Yeah.
And, if you had things like, I don't know, this is a little off the topic, but if you had things you've done that you were completely immersed in, and then you've sort of passed through it and you kind of go, that was great. And I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to go do this now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I was in go ahead.
And what you're talking about there, to my way of thinking, is a theory of relativity, because as we get a bit older, say now 66, you see your end point a bit closer than when you were 20 and bulletproof, and you thought you had plenty of time. Now, 66, it says, hey, Stepen, get on with it. You've got things to do. You don't hesitate. And the reality that I feel now is, that you're on that right path. You're on that divine pathway. And so you get resourced. The universe says, okay, Stepen, you're on the right path. Here's the help. Here's the guidance. Here's the whatever. So it's like, you've got the supply chain all sorted. But getting back to the fear that surrounds this death and dying process. And if you don't mind, one of the laws of heaven and earth that I've got in front of me, and I'll read it to you.
Yeah.
It says, fear at the time of passing closes the soul to all the awaiting love and compassion. Now, how cool is that? Just to know that, to not be afraid. And then that opens you up to all that, the beauty and the love and compassion.
When I think about fear, it really comes down to what am I really afraid of? If I take the thing I think I'm afraid of and I take it to the what if that happened? Well, then what if that happened? What if that happened? It all comes down to, I'm going to be destroyed. I will be, obliterated. So I'll die. Yes. Basically, that's really the fear. That's underneath every fear is I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And then, but if I'm not afraid to die, and there's nothing to be afraid of, because, I mean, why would you be afraid of that? It doesn't really, I understand it because it's sort of somewhat final, in one very huge sense. It is final.
Yes.
But and I guess there's a natural biological survival instinct that we want to survive. We don't want to die. We'll do whatever.
The body wants to hang on to itself. Yes,
absolutely. And believe me, if a bear was chasing me, I would not stop and say hello. I would run as fast as I could because I don't want to die.
Yeah.
And that's a real, genuine sort of, natural kind of instinct.
Yes.
But when I think about the fact that it happens to everyone, whatever age that it happens. Why would the universe create something called life, and certainly the human species, and then have the end of it be something you're supposed to be afraid of? It doesn't, logically, it doesn't
it's
even
not
make
even
sense.
logical, is it? Yes, that's right. Yes, and I've got to tell you, Bob, all the things I saw and described through the writing of the book, it not only takes away fear, but it also creates a sense of uh, anticipation in some way, and say it's okay. You've lived a great life, and you'll be so loved and nurtured when you pass over, to whatever level you go to, because there's no absence of love from the Father. We're all nurtured in that same crucible. Yes, I mean, my understanding is that you've got to look in the mirror of life review, and one would see what you've done to others, and feel and experience the consequences of same. But it's all love. It's still, you in the divine hands of the Father being.
Yeah. When I was thinking about, after I read the description of heaven, the thing that was really intriguing to me was this Coliseum that you talked about, where all these spirits were basically kind of, I just picture them in the stands of like a big Coliseum. And then there were people that had died from illness and infirmity and, painful endings that were being taken care of in the center of this thing.
Yeah.
Of this, whether it's, we don't talk about it's real or not real. I don't care about that. But the image of that was so spectacular to me that all these souls and spirits were there to, in a sense, welcome and heal people whose endings were not, we all think about like, oh, it'd be great if I just went to sleep and that was it, and I didn't have to suffer. But when you have that kind of level of suffering, that was kind of a beautiful image. I don't know. I hope that's really what it is.
Oh, you've done it. You've done it great justice. What I saw, again, I'm seeing all of this when I'm writing, and I'm taking sort of just writing what I'm seeing, but I'm standing on top of a hill with this guide. And again, as you described, like this, the Roman Coliseum, the Greco-Roman type architecture, and there were bells tolling away that all these souls come into the arena as like spectators, and the colours and the music was extraordinary, and they're all chanting the Om sound. So this noise is reverberating around this Colosseum, and in the middle of the arena are these repose lounges, lounges, and I'm sort of seeing all this through this character's eyes and going, what the? And then in come these angelic seraphim, small angelic beings, and they've got a charge of this like a decrepit soul, like that illness has destroyed or hurt their soul, and so that they're like disabled and decrepit, and each seraph leads their charge and places them on their lounge chair. And the lounge chair kind of enfolded them like a blanket on a warm night, or on a cold night. And then in walks this angelic being, white, golden, beautiful cloak of shimmering, gold. And he stands in the middle of the arena, and he takes the energy out from the crowd, and he weaves it into this magnetic spinning ball in his hands. And then from this magnetic ball shines this like a laser light into the into the souls on the couches. And then, like, when this angel's finished, he kind of folds his hands off and walks out. And then each of the souls on the lounges, they get up and they are totally renewed, like they've just been relieved of all of their burdens. And they are healed, I guess. Yeah, just renewed. But the interesting, and apart from seeing that, the interesting thing was that I asked, like, the guide person, what is this? And what I was told was these souls, sins imposed by others in the earthly realm, are not retained by that soul themselves. So if I did something to you that caused your soul harm, gave you a bad drug and caused you illness or suffering or something, you do not carry those burdens. You are relieved of those, don't like the word sin, so those melodies. So that's taken away from you.
Yeah.
Me, on the other hand, because I've caused that to you, my brother soul, I would bear the consequences of those actions. But you are relieved of those burdens.
Let's talk about sin for a second, and evil and people that do harm to other people. When you say there's consequence, you're not talking about, I don't think you're talking about a punishing God. I don't think you're saying that.
No.
But let's say I'm just a bad guy. I just cheat people, and I hurt them physically. I'm verbally abusive. Maybe I'm abusing, people sexually. I'm just a horrible
bad man.
Yeah. Damaged guy. The worst of the worst. I pass away and I go to this situation. What happens to those guys? Because we talk about, and I'll say women too. It's all guys. We always think about wicked men, but there's just as many wicked, both genders, I would imagine, or I guess there's more genders now. I don't really know much about that, but I was supposed to get a laugh.
You're all good.
But how did you see heaven handling that kind of a?
That's very interesting. Let me answer that, Bob, through two laws, and the first one is we are all one in spirit. And I'm reading this, I'm paraphrasing. We are all one in spirit. What you have done to another, you do to yourself.
Well, I guess that's true.
So that gives us a basis. But then the second one, here again, I'll read, what you have caused to affect in your fellow man is what declares your place in heaven. So let me describe again how I saw those laws play out.
Sure.
So what I saw with these myths, the profound myths, and they're myths of purgatory. So you come through this where you do your life review, and you get to find out whether you're a good dude or a bad dude. But then souls were exiting out of these myths like it through a portal. And some were dressed in these beautiful robes. I can barely describe the colors to you. Bright, vivid gold, white, with shimmering colors of blue and flashing colors. But others were dressed in dark Hessian, brown, yucky sort of colors. What happened? They come through the mist, and then they're greeted. And then there was a designated pathway that they had to follow that was uniquely that soul. So a soul that said, I want to go upwards, and they were dressed in this brown stuff. Sorry, your pathway is unique, and you had to follow that which is designated. So you're dressed in these beautiful colors, up you went. But others had to go like downwards, follow a pathway to a different level, some sort of nether region. But that was consequential of coming through these mists of judgment, if you will, and the robes designate your station and where you go. And other souls can look at the robes and know exactly what you need. So in service to each other, a soul can look at one's robes and go, okay, I know what you need, and I know where you're going. That's just, I mean, I couldn't make this stuff up in 100 years, Bob. But that's what I saw.
So these souls that are, let's just use the word darker souls that need more information and teaching or whatever transpires, do they eventually become something else? Are they elevated, let's say, for lack of a better term, to go with the people that sort of naturally had led so it's really about healing them too, because like you say, if you do something to other people, you're actually doing it to yourself.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And it relates, Bob, to, again, there's another law in there, which I'll read to you again. The judgment of heaven is neither vindictive or eternal, but probationary and remedial. So we continue to evolve through the heavenly realms, and the love is never absent.
And that is that you're in your experience, the pervasive force that governs all of this is love.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's, to me, the universal vibration is that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Love was a pervasive everywhere. That was everything. Was the call it God or universe or whatever, but it was love. I could tell you and the listeners about the nether regions, if you like.
Sure.
My goodness. Again, taken with a guide. We went through this. It was like an area that had been like a bushfire had gone through this place, and the smell and the it was horrible. So we walked through this area, and there was this huge portal, and like really dark, forbidding portal. And so in we go. Oh, I can still see it vividly in my mind. There were these spinning vortices of power, and around there was a number of them, and around each of these vortices were these angelic beings, like angels in waiting. And like I've turned to this guide and got like, what? It's a horrible, horrible place. In each vortex were these souls that were like they're trapped, and some of them are clambering to get out. Others are trying to pull them down. It was just. And I did my best to describe all of this, but it was like a horrible place. And I turned, what is this place? And what was described to me and explained is that this is not the judgment of heaven. This is not God's wrath. Souls are entrapped by choice, the power of their own choices, and related to the 7 deadly sins, lust, gluttony, wrath, envy. And I can't remember the others, but that power traps the soul within, and they need to be purified of that power. And once a soul was able to was contrite, they were able to repent and say, "I'm sorry." Then they were released, purified, and released from that power, and then taken away by the angelic beings to where I don't know. I never saw that, but that's what I saw and did my best to describe. And I got to tell you, it's seeing that, if that doesn't turn one from errant path in an earthly, I don't know what will.
Yeah, sounds like.
But that's what I saw.
Sounds like a really one of those giant jumbo washers at the laundromat. Only it's instead of dirty clothes, it's
only worse.
I'm not getting in that.
No, exactly.
So what do you think a guide makes a year? How much money they make? That might be a good gig, heavenly guide. All right, I want to talk about the idea of reincarnation and coming back again to get it right, to come back in with new knowledge. I feel like I've been here before more than once, and I've always sort of known that. I don't think it's a big deal, but how did your experience? Does it line up with that idea at all?
Yeah,
I mean, certainly religions talk about it. I know the Buddhists for certain.
Yes. Yeah, it's a very interesting question, Bob. I'll answer it in two ways. I got taken to a huge library, a hall of records. And again, the building, and again, don't just think of a glass edifice like we've got on Earth. This is marble, alabaster, beautiful Greco-Roman type architecture. And so we go into this library, and there's all these soul students there, and this place is full of rooms and tomes of all different shapes and sizes. And again, what was described to me is this the hall of, like, the Akashic records, I guess you'd call them, where every thought, past, present, and future is recorded there and to be found. So you can access those records in the heavenly realm. I mean, I'm a believer in reincarnation, I think, like you, but in the book there was nothing to describe reincarnation to me through the book. I was never told. There were spirit guides moving across and helping us out, but I was not told anything about reincarnation, so it is not a part of the story, if you will. But as I say, I'm a great believer in it. However, I wasn't shown that through the course of the writing.
Pretty fascinating stuff. What an experience!
Yeah, amazing, huh? Yeah.
And you're not going to clean any more gutters. I'm making sure that that's not happening. One book is plenty on this topic.
Well, I've got to tell you, Bob, if I do decide that at any time in the future to get up on a ladder again, it will not be a near-death experience. It'll be a death experience because my wife will kill me.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to go up on the ladder anymore because when I was coming down the last time, apparently my legs were flailing as I was trying to find the rung.
Oh, yuck!
And my wife won't let me do it anymore.
No, good idea.
I guess she wants me around. I don't know. I think I can, but I'm not going to do it.
No, not worth it.
Let's plug the book a little bit and to let people know where they can get it. And this only happened a few years ago, so this is fresh right off the experience. We're only within a few years. Yeah.
And the book, Bob, is I think end of May. It was released, so it's only still brand new on the shelves. So
you can still smell the ink.
Absolutely.
Or the footprint, whatever it is.
Yeah. Whatever.
Okay, so say the name of the book and say your name so people know exactly what book to get.
The Afterlife, A Journey To, by Stepen Paul Chong.
There you go.
Our best place to get it, Bob, I think, is probably on Amazon, the book depositories, ebook or hard copy as preference.
Yeah, it's probably on Barnes and Noble and all those places.
Yeah, all of those places.
Check it out. This is a gentleman who had a real experience and was able to get it on paper, which is absolutely phenomenal. As you were talking about this, I was thinking about that British director that did, I think he's a British director that did the movie Inception. Nolan is his last. Is it Peter Nolan? Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan. Yes.
That'd be the guy to make this into a movie. I want to see this.
It would be a absolutely fascinating movie. Absolutely. But therein lies the future, and God knows how it's all going to progress. But absolutely.
You didn't find that out, huh? You didn't find out about
No, I wasn't told that.
All right. Well, I'm hoping my hair grows back. I know it's not going to happen, but what if it did?
Who needs hair when you got a beautiful head?
Yeah, that's what my mom used to say. She'd say, at least you have a nice head, son.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, best to you, and best to luck on the book, and hello to the missus if she's still there. Hi,
Still there? Yes.
and thanks for sitting in on this. I didn't get to see you or anything, but I could feel your support, and
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing. That's what love's all about, isn't it?
Yeah. Beautiful. Bob, thank you very much. It's been an
Thank
absolute
you. You
pleasure to
have a
talk to you.
yes, have a beautiful day. It's only
Yeah.
10 a.m., so you got a full day ahead of you.
Yeah. And again, thank you for it's probably a bit late now. So again, thank you for the time.
Thank you. Much appreciation for you folks listening to The Exploding Human. The website is theexplodinghuman.com. The YouTube channel is The Exploding Human with Bob Nickman. Once again, I want to thank Stepen Chong for coming on the show and telling us his marvelous story, and check out his book. Have a fantastic day.